So, anyways, I'd like to introduce you to Jeff. I'll let Jeff do the introduction, of course. It's a little bit choppy, so Jeff lives out in the country. He'll tell you a little bit more about that. So if you see kind of a slight delay, that's why. But other than that, we're coming through pretty clear. So yeah, if you could just give a quick intro, Jeff, that'd be awesome.
Hi, yeah, Jeff up, and I'm actually, like Paul said, I'm actually living in the middle of pretty much nowhere. Middle, I mean, Nebraska's remote anyway, and being right in the middle of Nebraska is even more remote. I come from a background. I spent a good amount of time in corporate America, in IT, and in business development management and that kind of. But I was new to marketing, especially in this space. I mean, really hadn't done much of anything in terms of marketing. But when I got laid off, I had to make, where I was and what I wanted to do, and I just wanted to come back around family, I guess. So, and this has really afforded that opportunity. So.
Yeah, it's a very location independent type business, which is nice. Because you can do it from anywhere. So awesome. So is that kind of what made you look into this? Because you were already kind of doing the IT thing, so it was just kind of like a natural progression into internet marketing?
No, no, I wouldn't say that. I mean, obviously, that has some benefits, but
Yeah.
there really wasn't a leg up. No. And I still enjoy programming and still do things, obviously.
Yeah.
Uh, but more of a, spare time, or, if I have an opportunity, then I have the luxury now of on a project, even if it doesn't pay that much. I have the bandwidth and, both time and, financial wise, if I want to take on a pet project, I will. So.
Yeah. Awesome. So you're one of the students who was really successful quickly. I think we were talking earlier, 8 weeks you said it took you to land several clients. So I don't know if you could just kind of recap on where you are right now and kind of what we talked about earlier. That would be cool.
Yeah, it's your training really was because it kind of put the motivation in place, but also kind of, your training went beyond just the mechanics of the ranking and all that kind of thing. I mean, the mentality that you were able to bring in, and instill in some of us, really helped things a lot.
Awesome.
And that, traction initially in going forward and obtaining your first couple of clients and getting the confidence to scale out beyond that point, that was huge. So, it's not done without some kind of action mentality. You have to take action if you're ever going to be successful in anything, I guess.
Yeah,
That goes
definitely.
without. But, kind of to circle back, about getting things ramped up. There's a number of ways you can get traffic. And traffic and internet marketing is, basically putting yourself out there and getting people to see you, or whether that be email marketing, whether that be running and you cover this in your training, Facebook
Yep.
funnels. And what I've seen is, direct marketing and that kind of thing. It's still definitely a good thing. When I say direct marketing, I mean, that is like cold calling and that kind of thing. I mean, you still have to be out there doing things, but your approaches, like, on Facebook and that kind of thing, really, yeah, I mean, you're not putting yourself out there as much, I guess, in terms of rejection.
Yeah, you're
So,
kind of attracting the leads to you, so they're warm already. That's kind of the way I like to look at
uh,
it.
yeah, and your job's a lot easier. You have a lot more confidence. The conversation that starts at a whole different point. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really key. Is they're coming at you from a perspective of they need your help rather than, you know, you cold calling them or cold anything, cold emailing. It's, if they come at you with, admitting that there's something wrong with their business and they need help and want you to help them fix it, all you need to do at that point is offer them the solution.
Right, and obviously setting up your funnels correctly to do that initial interest, and to get them into your funnel is important too. But you do a really good job in your training that, especially for people that are new to internet marketing that maybe haven't been in the space that would be starting from zero. It could be a hurdle to jump, but you did a good job guiding us the way and doing that. It's been quite effective.
Awesome, thanks. I appreciate that. So, if I remember correctly, you landed about 6 clients in the first 8 weeks of coming into the program, right?
Yeah, yeah, and scaling things, well into the six figures in the first year here. So,
That's awesome. Very cool. So, any any favorite client getting approaches?
well, I mean, direct mail has been useful. Really, it's been off of Facebook. I've done some cold calling. Um, a lot of what I have is limited in terms of where I am in remote. I
Yeah.
can't necessarily jump in the guy to some business. So I mean, some people look at that as a handicap, but not really, because that kind of set the mentality out initially. And the fact, you get a lot more bandwidth, if you will, if you're doing it remotely, or over the phone and that kind of thing. And I thought there would be kind of a block, in terms of people and all that kind of thing, but none of that turned out to be the case. I had some reservations initially, but there hasn't been any hurdle like that. So
Cool. Yeah, I often find a lot of times, I think just as human beings, we set ourselves up in this state of mind. Well, what if this happens, and what if that happens? And you come to find out when you take action, and you start doing things. A lot of the things that you thought were going to happen never happen, and when they do happen, it's usually no big deal. You just kind of take it on as it comes, cross that bridge when you get there, so to say.
yeah, if you really take in, well, you just got to take action and move forward. You're going to develop paralysis pretty quickly if you trying to do everything perfect.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of times you just have to kind of follow and see what happens. And yeah, it turns out to be much different than what maybe your perception would. And I guess I like the word pivot a lot of times. If you're find you are doing it's not quite working, then you pivot and try a different approach. And
Yeah, that's a great analogy for sure.
so
Yeah, I heard this interview from it was like a really old interview. Mark Zuckerberg went into, I think, Harvard, and kind of like taught a class with the teacher, and he was saying, when he was starting Facebook, he kind of just did stuff and might not have been the right approach, but just kind of did it and apologized later type of thing. And I mean, if that works for Facebook, certainly it should be good enough for us.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Cool.
It comes down to taking action. So.
Absolutely. So, are you staying niche specific? I'm asking everyone I'm doing interviews with because it's just such a common question that I get asked. Are you staying in one specific niche, like just targeting HVAC, for example, or are you just kind of targeting everything?
Well, I guess I'm kind of taking the shotgun approach to really trying to do a lot of things now that I circle back and trying to do more of a niche type of approach moving forward. That doesn't mean if I have an opportunity to get a client, not necessarily in that niche, that I won't take. But I
Yeah.
mean, I think there's a lot to be said for niching down. It brings a lot of advantage. So maybe not initially. Initially you're just kind of going to take, what comes. Well, that sounds bad, but you're going to take the opportunity when you get it. But when later when you
Yeah.
have a different bandwidth, then yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense to do so.
Yeah, I think I get exactly what you're saying. It's like when you're first starting off, you're not going to be picky. You're going to, if there's someone that you can work with and it's an easy target, you're going to take it. But then as you start to refine things, you kind of get into that specialist mentality because, I've been kind of relating it to the medical field, like the specialists are the ones who make all the money because, they specialize in a certain thing. And that can put a level of perception in the customer's mind when you target them. Hey, I'm the go-to guy for dentists. I work with all dentists. So if you do SEO, you want to work with me. So yeah, I personally haven't specialized too much, but I know a lot of people who do it really successfully. So I thought it was cool to get other people's input on it. Awesome. So are you staying in your own backyard, or are you going out all over? I mean, I'm guessing not in your own backyard since there's probably not a whole lot of businesses around, right?
Yeah, there's really nothing. I mean, the next major city is Lincoln, Nebraska, and that's about 2.5 hours away, and that's only a couple 100,000. So, right, in a 150-mile radius, you maybe have 100,000 folks.
Cool.
So, no, there's you have to go outside. And I'm not focusing traffic or my approach in any particular area. Clients from New York to Canada to California to wherever.
Awesome. Very cool. So if you had to start all over and like approach this business, as a total beginner again, would there be anything that you would do differently than you did the first time?
I think the taking action and that kind of where a person has to start, and go forward from that point. So yeah, I mean that not necessarily. I think you set us up for a real good, a good point to get started in executing from, I guess, in terms of what am I trying to say here? Word is escaping me, but momentum, I guess.
Yeah. So maybe just would have hit the ground running as quick as possible. Yeah, that's what a lot of people tell me. They would have started sooner.
Yeah, you're kind of reserved, at first initially. So,
Gotcha.
but it's just a confidence again. But no, I mean, I not a huge amount of things I would do differently. I mean, if I really sit here and think about it, probably. But I guess I'm not that kind of person.
Sure.
I don't take any excuses, and I'm always looking forward, not back.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'd just like to follow up with one last question for all the beginners watching who are just coming into this. They've never done this type of stuff before. What's kind of like one best piece of advice you could give to them?
Both, don't be. It might, you might have fear, in the beginning, and fear is always going to equal paralysis, I guess. But even if you've taken small actions initially, and they build upon each other, it doesn't really necessarily matter what the action is, but just be active. And even if you're slow in doing baby steps, in the beginning, you're going to find yourself, if you continue at it, you're going to find yourself, having a whole different set of wings, in short amount of time. So just believe in yourself, take action, even if it's a little difficult at first, but believe in yourself, and you can do it. I mean, I've seen all sorts of people do it.
Yeah.
There's no excuses,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice. I had a copywriter who used to work with me a couple years back. He went on to publish a book and become really successful with that. So I don't work with him in copy anymore, but he wrote this book called Mini Habits, I think is the name of it. And it's all about how these mini habits build on each other and form a really consistent pattern. Like, for example, you might not want to commit to working out, 30 minutes a day initially, but you could probably commit to doing 3 push-ups a day. And it starts forming these little mini habits till eventually you're built up to working out every day and working out 30 minutes a day. So I thought that was kind of cool, and definitely, that's a great concept and great tip. Cool, man.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I really appreciate it. Thanks for being here and doing the interview with me. And it means a lot, and I'm just so happy to hear about your success. You're doing awesome, and, keep kicking butt. And I think this interview will really help inspire everyone else starting off, just because they see what you've done with it and it can relate more to you maybe than me if I'm just sitting here saying it. That's one thing, but when other students are coming in and sharing their experience too, I think it really helps people kick themselves into overdrive and actually go out and do it.
Yeah, I mean, the opportunity out there, is there's really no limit to it. So yeah, I mean, it's a great opportunity, and I would suggest anybody pursue it. So
awesome.